Welcome to the Big Schmaz this week. I'm Scotty Bender alongside superstar Rob Schulz and the big guy. Welcome. Fans. So is Jim Cornette listening to our podcast? I know we've got over-the-top ratings. However, I made a comment last week about Becky Lynch, about how she is not going to be the same. I don't think this was the right time for her to get preggers. I went into I don't know if she come back the same. Being a mother is a whole different game coming back, hormones, etc. And then look what happens. Corny comes out this week, and he kind of says what I said. He said it a little more eloquently, quote unquote. I don't know if he said he has a way of saying things, but he kind of basically said what I said. He said it was the wrong time, and he caught a lot of shit for it, for saying it. But
let's hear what he said before you get into it.
Yes, go for it.
And this is lengthy, but this is edited down from the 26 minutes he talked about it.
What?
Yeah.
What the let's go into the actual real-life occurrences in a second, but on the performance.
For her. She's only 33.
They have her come out there, and she has been the man, the female Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? The last kicker. Drinking beer with Austin in the ring. This is how she has catapulted herself while not being the best worker or the most athletic woman on the roster, like a Charlotte or whatever. She has sold the merchandise, and she's the top female box office attraction they got, right? And then she comes out, and now she's the crying, sniffing kid that insecure kid that came and got a chance to live her dream. Here comes Asuka in gimmick, screeching and yelling and acting like nobody really would. And that makes the announcement, you be the champion, I'm going to go off and be a mother. And then Asuka, it's almost like that's the first time she was hearing it, because she didn't know whether to drop the gimmick or not. But she didn't, but she kind of did. She toned the gimmick down. But she was still... And we go back to Gaga. And then she... it's not like I don't never want them to have children. But do you when both of you have top spots where you could make 7 fucking figures a year and blah, 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 wait 3 years, have a fucking baby. What the fuck? What happened if she does come back and even gets to this level of success again and gets this level of spot again? As soon as she does, something happens, she gets hurt. Then she can't do it at all. She could have the baby after she eventually got hurt, because everybody gets hurt. If I was Vince, I would start writing pregnancy clauses into every woman's contract. There you go.
Why are you ripping that one?
I just ripped it to rip the thought of $1 million a year talent purposely taking themselves out of the fucking game.
Fans.
Wow. He doesn't mince words, I'll tell you that. Again.
Well, before you...
Yes.
I want to get Schultz's opinion before you go in. Because Schultz, it looks like he has a lot to say.
I have a lot to say? Well, I was just thinking as he was talking that, Scotty thought this was like the wrong time, but I don't know, maybe a week removed from our comments last week, maybe it's the best time. There's nothing going on. I know that somebody had said that this is the time we need Becky Lynch the most, but she hasn't wrestled since WrestleMania. A lot of guys haven't wrestled since WrestleMania. A lot of guys haven't wrestled since before WrestleMania. We don't know how long this thing's going to go for. Isn't now the perfect time?
Scotty?
I as much as I respect, Rob, your comments, I totally disagree with you. I think that it's not a matter of this is a slow time. It is a slow time right now with the pandemic and the way things are. But she, is making, the Cornette said, upwards of $1 million. Wrestling is, what did you do for me yesterday kind of a business. And sure. There's really no time that's good, or there's never really a good time, regardless of what we're going through right now. And again, I think it's bad. I think it's a bad decision. I think it's going to have ripple effects on Seth Rollins, because now he's going to have a child at home. And when she does give birth, he's just not going to ignore the whole fact that she had a baby. He's going to have to go there and wants to be close to the child. And again, I think it's just going to take away from her aura, and it's going to take away from the man, and that she's, the kick-ass lass. And again, I agree with Cornette. I know how he has a way of putting things that kind of rub people the wrong way. But if you take his message and you filter it, I agree with him 100%. And this is a bad decision on her part, bottom line.
Okay, so we're TV-14 this week, if you didn't notice from Jim Cornette. But don't you feel like with women, it's a different situation? You don't see a lot of female superstars wrestling into their mid-30s and later. You saw Trish kind of went away and had a family. I think this is a little more in the spotlight because Becky's still at the top of her game, but at the same time, she is 33. I mean, how many more years would she wrestle?
Again, I'm going to go back to she's on top of her game, and she's still technically. Again, I'm not her gynecologist or her obstetrician, whatever.
You're not her gynecologist.
No.
Keys to my car.
Yeah. I'm not. So I don't know her physical health condition. I don't know, but again, she still has time to have a child, and she is on top of her game. And I think that this is going to lead to her downfall. She's going to come back. She'll have a run like Trish did, and like they all do. They come back, and Beth Phoenix, and they lead up to a big match. But then that's going to be the end of it. So she's done. That's just, again, my opinion, and I just think that it's a bad decision financially. I think it's a bad decision. My question is, if the WWE knew she was planning this, because most people know how sex works, and if her and Seth were trying to have a child, I don't. Did she notify the WWE that this was going to happen? I mean, I know how the mistakes happen, but
she told Pat Patterson, but he didn't know what to do with the info. So no.
So I don't. I don't know. Was Vince caught off guard? I mean, I got to tell you right now, I'd be pissed, and not that I don't wish anything. I wouldn't wish anything bad on her being pregnant, of course, but I think I'd be a little slighted by that. Not at least telling me, hey, listen, me and Seth have been talking about having a baby. Again, we talk about plans. We don't know how far out they had plans for her, regardless of what's going on. So again, I think it was a somewhat selfish decision, and I again think it's not going to fare very well for her down the road.
Maybe this is the generation, though, of female wrestlers where they are wrestling into their deep 40s. I mean, you got Charlotte Flair there. You know what's in her blood to go into her 60s like Ric Flair? Can you imagine that? Charlotte Flair with gray hair wrestling?
She already kind of resembles Fabulous Moolah, if you think about it.
Yes.
Top heavy. So moving on, I think we covered this ground, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some tragic news in the world of wrestling with Shad Gasspard.
Yes. Very sad. Very sad.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
Well, just having lived, and I know he was in, I believe, Venice Beach, California, and having lived in Florida myself for a year and frequenting the ocean, those riptides, they're no joke. When they have a riptide warning out, or there's a warning about a riptide, you take it very serious. That will drag you down, no questions asked, and you think, oh, I can swim out of it. But a riptide is a very, very serious thing. And I mean, no disrespect to the dad. I don't mean any disrespect to Gaspard or his child. But my question is, I mean, was there a warning out there? Why would he be in the water if there's a riptide? Because if there's a riptide, most likely, again, there would be a warning, or they would have a strong warning against it, saying you shouldn't be going in the water. So I don't mean to pour salt on this, obviously very sensitive subject. However, I just have to go and say,
based on his social media, it seemed like he and his son were at the beach all the time. I mean, there's lots of photos and videos of them being there. So I'm thinking he's an experienced guy with the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, the riptide, experience or not, you could be the most avid swimmer, but those things, once it gets a hold of you, it drags you down. And it is sad. And, the fact that he, told the lifeguard to, go get his son first. I mean, that says a lot about him. And regardless of
favorite primetime memory,
none.
You'll have all the time you need. So more bad news. It appears Britt Baker is injured. One of the bright spots in AEW. Schultz, what do you think?
She was somebody who I was not a fan of immediately. She has definitely grown on me through the weeks that I've been watching. Very talented. I find her very funny. I like her exchanges with Tony Schiavone. And to see her go down in that manner against a talent the caliber of Nyla Rose is disappointing at best.
Well, here's the good thing. Not that there's anything good about tearing your ACL and being out for 9 months, but if there's going to be a bright side or some sun shining through the clouds, it's the fact that she is very good on the mic. Mm-hmm. She's very talented as far as her mic skills. She's a good character. She could go on and guest commentate. She could do some stuff backstage. I'm not saying she should become a manager, but she can maybe take someone under her wing. There's a lot of things that they could do with her just because she is a talent outside of the ring. She's one of those that has the dual talent of the wrestling and the personality. So with that being said, again, total loss in the women's division as far as her wrestling for the title and being involved that way. But there's other opportunities I think for her that AEW is definitely going to explore and going to utilize her strength.
All right, so let's move on to our main topic, Dark Side of the Ring season finale. Yeah. What did you think of the Owen Hart episode?
Go ahead, Scotty.
I actually enjoyed it. It was a good finale. I've always been a big fan of Owen Hart. I'm always I go on probably my Mount Rushmore would be Bret Hart. So I've always been a Hart Foundation, Hart family fan. It was just really tragic, and the fact that it kind of angered me to a degree watching it. I mean, I went through a lot of emotions watching it. I was angry, I was sad, because again, angry that he's gone, and angry at the fact that how this happened. This was totally avoidable, and angry at Vince McMahon and the WWE. They had those hacks come in and do the rigging of it. And then just sad for his family, and it's just a sad loss. He goes out and says goodbye to his family, and you don't never in your wildest dreams ever thought that this was ever going to happen. I mean, think about it, and it was sad. I do wish. I'll tell you this: it went by very quickly. I watched it and it went by very fast. I think there's a lot more they could have added to it. And I wish that Bret Hart had spoken to it.
I hadn't seen Over the Edge since it originally aired. I was looking for my tape not too long after that, and I cannot find it. I have no idea where that VHS tape went. I have suspicions of where it has gone, but everything they showed the video, I remember like it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. The stuff with the Kings, stuff with JR, even the backstage with Jeff Jarrett and Deborah. I remember all that. Mm-hmm. What I didn't like about the episode, and I never felt like it wasn't a pure accident, but the way that Oj was saying that Owen said to him, take care of your mom.
Yep.
I didn't like that. I didn't know if, he could be that worried about it, or if he felt like there was some foul play. I always thought like the name of the pay-per-view, Over the Edge, was like a weird thing too. And like now, I don't know. I don't know what to think about it more. The hook looked extremely flimsy though, as well. God.
Well, another thing that I didn't really think too much about, because as you're when watching it, you don't think of it. But Martha made a very good point, and I'm very surprised that the Kansas City Police Department that show went on. Number one, that the fact that they continued on, they were talking about how the ring was uneven where he fell. You could see the blood. There should have been a crime investigation. That should have been shut down. That should have been investigated. That was it. I mean, anything ever happens. If someone fell off a building down on East Main Street, they're going to shut everything down. They're going to look into it. Like that should have been investigated. That show should have never went on. Mm-hmm. And I never even thought about it till she mentioned it was a crime scene possibly. So to your point,
was there a title change that night? The main title? I feel like Undertaker beat Stone Cold or something like that. And that's why it went on. They could have done that on Monday very easily. I know that was part of Vince's reasoning.
Yeah, no, I don't. There's no reason to rhyme to do that.
Right.
I will say that I did give. I know in this podcast I've kind of come down hard on Jim Ross lately. You know, the current Jim Ross as of late at AEW, but my hat goes off to him and kudos to him the way he handled that, because he had literally, he said 10 seconds to come back on the air and tell the fans that he was passed. And I can't imagine, you know, being a commentator and having to do that of a wrestler that just passed and have to go on and then go on with the show. And he was a friend of the family. He knew the family very well. And and the King too. I mean, both of them together. They both, that was very, very difficult. And like I said, Jim was Ross, when he said I had 9 seconds or 10 seconds to go on and say what happened. I mean, I can't imagine. So, that was rough.
And Jim Cornette, who's been great throughout the season.
Yes, he has been. He really has been.
Seeing him like break down when talking about Owen, that really impacted you as the audience, because every time you've seen Cornette on the show, he's talking about like threatening to kill Vince Russo or swearing.
Yeah.
So that was a really good moment.
And I also liked when they talked about, and I think I even talked about when we talked about Owen last week, he says, what could have been of Owen Hart? What could have been if he had still around? And they were talking about all the wrestlers that were coming into the Fed shortly after, the Kurt Angles, the matches he could have had with some of these greats coming in. I forget, I don't know if it was Cornette who mentioned it. Someone mentioned that right around
the Radicals.
Yeah. Right around, Eddie Guerrero, right around the corner, all these guys were coming in. And think of some of the matches at Owen Hart, because Owen's biggest thing, he was a wrestler. He had a great gimmick, but he was a good wrestler. So that, I mean, it kind of goes to the point of, I was saying last week, just what could have been. I mean, could he have surpassed his brother, you know, when it comes to the accolades? I don't know. But
so over the course of this whole season, you kind of already hinted at it, but has your opinion of Vince McMahon changed?
Yes.
They did not paint him in a very positive light this year.
No.
With the Snuka episode and this.
The screw job. I know that was last season, but the screw job and just I mean, he's a genius. I mean, he is a genius when it comes to what he's created with the WWE, WWF product. I mean, we can't deny that, and he's third generation. But yeah, he definitely. If he was polling right now, his polling points would be going down. I got to believe he just. You said, Joe. I don't know.
Vince did take a doomsday device though in a strip club, apparently, according to Godfather. So
yeah,
Godfather's poll points went up. That guy.
Oh, Godfather had a breakout season. He was my underrated star of the year.
Yeah, he was the best. I was waiting for him though when he's talking about him and Owen Hart talking before their match. He mentioned maybe he was smoking marijuana, but he did not. So they said, "Yeah, we should."
You can
I was sitting around with Owen. Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, who do you want to see in season 3 on Dark Side? I've got 3 suggestions. I've got Mr. Perfect.
Yes, it's my top.
Chris Kanyon and his demons, and then Sunny, who's had her ups and downs, and more
she
downs.
Dead?
No.
Oh,
her career is.
I'm going to give you. I don't know if this will top Mr. Perfect, but I'm going to give you one I think is going to be rated. It would be up there.
Go ahead.
China.
Ooh,
yes.
It's a good one. Did she do anything naughty after her wrestling career?
Say that again.
Did she do anything naughty after her wrestling career?
I don't know, but I thought about her because I saw a match. I came across a match with her on Facebook. I don't know where I got it from, but it was a match. She was in Japan and she wrestled Masa Chono, and I was watching her wrestle, and I was like, oh my god, she'd be a great Dark Side. So that would be someone that I would suggest.
Schulz, do you have any?
But they haven't announced anything, right? Joe, they haven't announced anything though, right?
No,
anything
as far as I know, they have not. Okay.
Schulz, what do you think?
I like Mr. Perfect there. I like China too. I'm on board with all of Joe's. I guess Dross was on the season twice. I'd like to maybe see more of the lead up, and I guess we know what happened though with that. I don't know. It's a tough one. Maybe Big Boss Man. Does he have any skeletons in his closet? I like Boss Man.
I mean, you could just do an episode on all the WWE wrestlers who died in their early 40s after leaving the company.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be like a 5-hour special.
Yep.
Okay.
Big Guy's on fire today.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect would be good in China. So
yeah.
Welcome back to the Big Schmaz. Scotty Bender, Superstar Rob Schulz, and the Big Guy. Speaking of big pay-per-view this week. AEW Double or Nothing this Saturday. They had the go home show this past Wednesday night. Let's take a look at the matches and what do we got? So, Big Guy.
So you said go home show. That's an industry term for the last show before a pay-per-view, and not your personal feeling that everyone should just go home because it was such an awful show.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. I got to tell you that I thought it was the old, the drizzling shits. Like, I just thought it was terrible. And I feel bad saying I'm a huge AEW fan. I'm a huge AEW fan.
What do you think of the quasi ladder match? I mean, WWE does this all the time, and everyone makes fun of them when they do one of these matches, and it's like, this is what it's going to be like at the pay-per-view. And AEW did it probably worse than they've ever done.
So, yes, I used to be a wrestler, kind of. And I had done the Undertaker Roman Reigns dive over the rope to the outside many times, and pull back the curtain a little bit on the industry. And the people on the outside, you're not just jumping onto them, they're also breaking your fall. So I can tell you one time I went to jump over the rope, and it was a dry run, no crowd. And I drastically undershot where I thought I'd land. And Mr. Brodie Lee, I don't know if he saved my life, but it's close enough where I can say he saved my life. He put his hands out. He's my tag partner, caught my head from hitting concrete. The next time we ran the show, full of adrenaline, I flew like way over him. And he caught me, by my waist like that. And I messed up my elbow pretty good in my third show. Anyway, these guys jump into the outside like nobody was catching anyone. Like Phoenix was laying on the ground, and like he kicked Orange Cassidy in the face, I think, on the way down. And they're both laying there. And then Colt Cabana did an Asai moonsault, I think, to the outside onto nobody. And then two more guys jumped onto nobody. What is happening? How hard is it? Just get in the way.
So our main event is that Stampede match, looks like, with the Elite now fully formed with the Young Bucks and Adam Page returning against the Inner Circle. Any excitement for that match?
No.
I'm not excited.
No. I'm not a big fan of, they've already done these empty arena, we already saw the Swagger Moxley match. We've already seen these matches where they're fighting all over the ring, all over the arena. And now we're going to see them fighting all over the stadium. Those are far and few if you really want to enjoy them. I think there's been too much of them. And I'm just not really looking forward to it. I just think it's just going to be a big spot fest. And what I mean by spot fest is just everyone hitting their finishers and just all over the top antics. They're going to put themselves in harm's way. My other concern is a lot of these guys aren't in wrestling shape. They haven't wrestled in months. We haven't seen Adam Page wrestle. The Young Bucks haven't wrestled. And my concern is these guys are going to go out there and a match like this stadium match is going to call for big spots. And they're going to be jumping from the stadium. They're going to be jumping all over the place. And I'm afraid someone's going to get hurt, quite honestly. So, I'm going to watch it. It's going to be cringeworthy.
And for a storyline purpose, they really did lose a lot of steam when the Young Bucks aren't there. And Matt Hardy, we've talked about this, just does not fit in.
No, he absolutely
trying to do his bits.
Square peg in a round hole. Square peg in a round hole. They're trying to force something that's not there, unfortunately. I think we talked about this in the past. He should just go back to Matt Hardy, to regular Matt Hardy, and just come out and just be a regular guy. I think a lot of the angles have lost steam in AEW, quite honestly. But
you remember how Glacier and Mortis, had like their own universe on Nitro?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like Matt Hardy needs that. He needs.
I think that would work for him actually.
Separation.
Yeah, I think him being thrown into with the elite, it just doesn't work. It's just very forced. It just seems like, yeah, we're gonna sign Matt Hardy. Let's bring this big coup over. Let's bring Matt Hardy to AEW. You know, everyone knows Matt Hardy. Let's throw him into the elite, and it's as you know, they say, let's throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. It's not sticking, unfortunately. So that's how I feel about it. I agree with you, Joe. I think he needs to be his own persona. He needs to create his own thing, I guess. But we'll see how that goes. Brodie Lee, Moxley.
Yeah,
go ahead.
For the title. The Exalted One.
The Exalted One. Owner of the belt. 80% of ownership is a lie, I guess. So here's the thing. And I'm going to feel really bad saying this.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I like Brodie Lee, and I'm one of his biggest fans. I don't really, this Dark Order thing's not working for me. I'll tell you why. I feel like the guys he's got with him are just minions. They're just, I mean, I know that's what they are, but they don't strike any fear. I outside of Brodie Lee, I'm not a wrestler, and I wouldn't probably mind getting in a fight with any of them. I'm not. They're just. I just don't feel that they're a powerful group. They're just weak, and Brodie's skills on the mic. In this character, it's becoming boring for me. I hate to say it. It is. The only saving grace, in my opinion, with this match is that Brodie, you know, they always say you say one negative, but then two positive. The thing that Brodie can do is Brodie's Sue Malliage. He can fucking wrestle. He can wrestle. And him and Mox are going to be a good match. And that is what I do believe that could be a good match. That's the only saving grace of this whole thing. It's the angle's not working, you know?
Right.
You know, Brodie break his arm, break Ten's arm, and it was just dumb is a word I'm going to use. But I think Brodie wrestling, because Brodie can wrestle, and we've seen Brodie mix it up. I mean, Pier 6 Wrestling, we saw him and Matrix get into it. I mean, and Joe were talking about this. It was hellacious, you know, matches, and you know, I want to see that Brodie Lee. That's what I want to see.
Definitely. Him being paired with the minions, who are all jobber level, is like taking the Undertaker at his height, and instead of giving him the ministry, letting him have like the Spirit Squad as his guys.
It's a good comparison.
It's the truth. It
makes no sense.
No viscera, no acolytes out there. They're just all little peons.
And there's two guys who could help him, Evil Uno and the other guy.
I like Evil Uno.
And they're not around.
Stu Grayson. Yeah, Stu Grayson. Yeah. And I think what also, you know, kind of made this whole thing, you know, I'm sour, Jerry, is that, and to Rob's point a few weeks ago with the kicks, when they were attacking people, they just looked weak. They weren't even doing the right kicks. They look like students out of a wrestling school, and it just, they're all small. They're just, it's not. God. And I don't know. I kind of miss the old big rig Brodie. I do. I like the old kick ass Brodie shining the boot up with the big boot with the handkerchief, and you know, again, because I'm a big Brodie fan, I do have a lot of faith in him. But this Exalted One, I really think he's not getting support from the other minions. It's just him, and I don't think he can carry the angle on his own. And I'm going to say it. That's anyway with Uno at least, or some other names that could help a group. These guys don't talk. He just orders them around. It's the same gimmick every week, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Can he win this title?
The match should be good, though. The match should be good.
Does he win? Can he win?
Can he win? Yes, I think he could. I don't think he will. I think there's going to be a big smash. There'll be a big smash. He might not get pinned cleanly in this match. This could lead us. I personally don't think he'll get pinned. I think it's going to be a big smash.
I feel like they were putting together the card for this event, and they looked at 4 weeks ago. Okay, who do we have here who's actually here every week?
Yes.
Brodie Lee's here every week. There's our guy.
Big guy. I was just going to make a comment. We were thinking about it. I was like, I felt like this angle was pushed. As much as I like seeing Brodie in the spotlight, I think it was just a forced angle based on the availability of guys. 100% agreed.
Yeah.
If he loses cleanly, though, here, where do you go from there?
That's why.
Probably back to where the character would have originally been, which is mid-card. SCU, he's got a big showdown with them still to happen, I think. Moving on, there's a ladder match with lots of flips and stuff.
Flipsy-doos, yes.
So,
the casino match.
What's that?
Kip Sabian.
Yes.
Darby Allin.
Mm-hmm.
Luchasaurus.
Yes.
Colt Cabana. Orange Cassidy. Ray Phoenix. Scorpion Sky. Frank Kazarian. And a mystery ninth opponent. Who could be Drew Gulak, recently out of contract. Chris Hero, his name has been mentioned. What are your thoughts?
It's unfortunate. Whoever it's going to be, it's not going to matter two shits because that match is just going to be one absolute disaster. I'm sorry, it is. It's going to be a disaster. It is. I mean, you've got so many people involved in a match with ladders, and it's just going to be chaos. I don't see any ring psychology involved in this. I don't see any just a bunch of big spots. And again, here's the thing: you got this match where it's going to be a spot fest, as I said, earlier. I used that term, and then you've got the stadium match. It's going to be the same way. You're going to have two matches on the card with a lot of people who are going to be flying all over the place and jumping on each other from whatever they can jump on, throwing whatever they can do, and throw it. It's too much. It's too much. I felt like this match again was just thrown together. There's no rhyme. It's just thrown together, and it's like we got two matches that are going to be like that.
Schultz?
That's a good point. I think maybe either one of these matches. Well, first of all, we should preface that we haven't seen them yet. Maybe we'll be in love with both of them. But going off what Scotty's saying, I think having one or the other on this show would have been good for either of them. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's an approach that I don't think AEW is concerned about because I think they're kind of known for spot fests.
Mm-hmm.
The Young Bucks influence, if you will.
Yeah.
There's a lot of speculation that there's problems with the executive vice president branch, that the Cody Rhodes and his quest for a modern WCW conflicting with the Young Bucks and their quest for whatever the hell they call their wrestling.
That's too bad because I would side with Cody. I'd love to see a revival or a modern day WCW. I really would, And then I've heard rumors, I don't know if they may be looking to bring Sting in at some point, or I don't even know if that's true or not. I mean, that's a dirt sheet, but
yeah,
I know he was a big Sting fan. So another guy on the card is MJF and Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
Here's another match that I feel like MJF had a shooting star, and now he's just kind of mucked down wrestling.
Well, I'll tell you the story I alluded to earlier. The rumor was it was going to be MJF versus Moxley at this pay-per-view.
Okay.
But MJF was stuck in New York for a month. So
hopefully we'll see MJF springboard off of this because, again, he was a shooting star. Now he's Marco Stunt. Now Jungle Boy. Yeah. I'm like, I can see Warlord and Luchas. Yeah, I know. I can see Luchasaurus and Wardlord get into it down the road. Two big guys. That could be somewhat entertaining. But I like MJF. I think he's a good wrestler. He's got a good look and he can wrestle. And so it'll be interesting.
Actually, it'll probably be a good match.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? It will be because you're going to have. Yes, because Jungle Boy can hold his own. I'll give him credit. He's all right. He can hold his own. But the other match,
Jungle Jack Perry, you mean?
Yeah, Jungle Jack Perry. He's quicker than a hiccup.
Yeah, tougher than a $2 steak.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I heard the hiccup thing. And then the other match I'm really looking forward to is the TNT Championship. I got it, with Cody and Lance Archer.
Cody versus Lance Archer. This was a match that was getting really good build, and then the last 2 weeks.
Arn Anderson and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So this week we had Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake having a 8-foot apart debate at the flimsiest looking table I've ever seen. And the week before, Cody drove his truck about 20 feet and then had a little pull apart with Lance. I feel like they lost all momentum with this match.
I feel like the whole. I don't mean to blanket the whole thing, but I think the whole card lost momentum. I think AEW just lost momentum. I do. I was so high in it, and I was so disappointed this week. And I could even the week before was okay. I mean, it wasn't that big of a glaring. Yeah, it wasn't as big of a glaring hole. But this week was just awful. And
it's like they were doing better when they had the smaller roster.
Yes, and then they bring more people. Right, when they were doing the smaller roster, they were. It was almost they didn't have to think much. They just went out and did their thing, and they batched people up. Now they're thinking too much, and they're getting too fancy. I guess not.
Too many mouths to feed.
Yes.
So 2 other matches recently announced: Shawn Spears versus Dustin Rhodes, and then there's a women's match. Which, let's talk about Shawn Spears first. I liked what Shawn did this week. His fake news desk promo. I thought that was at least a good use of him. That worked.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I think he'll beat Dustin Rhodes. I think he'll beat him. I think he'll beat him. He has to if they're going to give this guy any momentum. I just find it strange, not to keep going backwards, but this whole thing with him and Cody started the whole AEW off. He comes off the chairman of the board because he chaired Cody pretty bad. They had one match, and that was the end of it. I think Shawn needs something to just catapult him into the spotlight, and he needs to get some momentum because he had all this momentum coming out, against Cody. They were friends. He turned on him or he attacks him and goes and gets Tully Blanchard. And now all of a sudden he's just regulated as sitting in the stands wearing like a gas mask. That looks like he was wearing this week.
If you recall, Cody's promo where he referred to him as a good hand was a big catalyst for the feud.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually looking like that's how he really thinks about him. He's a good hand. He's a good person to put in the crowd next to Austin Gunn to yell stuff.
The Gunn father and son there, Billy Gunn and his son is always sitting in the crowd,
So he's getting paid just to yell from the crowd every week?
I don't know. Pay me.
Mookie. So let's leave it there because I think we'll talk about the women's match when we come back from this break. It's time.
It's time. It is time. As George is referring to, time.
It's the internet's
reference.
Favorite moment of the week. It's the time when superstar Rob Schulz explains it for us. Yeah. And he's getting a real softball this week.
Oh. You're going to lob one right at him?
I do have to stress, we want this answer to be from his time of his debut throughout his run. But tell us about Colin Delaney in WWE.
Ooh.
Okay, so Colin had... how in depth do you want me to go here? Because I can tell you okay, so we had a show here in Rochester, New York, and they were looking for someone to fight Shelton Benjamin. And Brodie Lee was backstage and had a guy in mind, a local dude, Jimmy Olsen, and did not answer his phone. So I don't know if he had called or if Mr. Brodie Lee had called in, but he ended up calling Colin and said, I got a guy. Colin dropped what he was doing, showed up at the arena. They're like, sure, you can work, kid, blah, 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 blah. Colin's like, yeah, I can do it. They ran through some stuff. Shelton Benjamin, they had a great match. Colin playing a total jobber in this thing. They paid him and had him go to the next show, which I believe was Syracuse. And before you know it, he was doing this jobber gimmick all the way down the line, fighting just huge guys, Big Show, Kane. You got the thing from Great Khali, which he said felt like getting hit in the head with a toaster. So it's a true story. He said he got knocked out legit, which is interesting. And he was asking how do you want me to take this? And I guess Vince was like, just stand there. They'll take care of it. So he ended up doing something with Tommy Dreamer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he lost,
and
he eventually got the release. I think 8 months after his debut, and they said they had nothing else for him. That's unfortunate. He's been back a few times for little spots here and there on NXT or 205, but yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I think that they could have done a lot more with him. He was getting bandaged up every week too, if you didn't know that. Like he had like his arm in a sling. He was just getting beat up, and he looked like he shouldn't have been in there. But good stuff. Very athletic kid. Good friend of ours. Miss you, Colin Delaney. Yes. Maybe he's the ladder match.
Maybe. Not. Scotty, it's time for Hot Button with Bender.
Sure. This week's Hot Button has to do with AEW's women's division, more specifically Nyla Rose. Now, I know this is old news, and I know we're going to go back a ways, but I'm going to have this bubble back up to the surface again, because I totally disagree with the fact that Nyla Rose, as a transgender, is wrestling in a women's division, identifying as a woman, but as a man, wrestling in a women's division. And not only do I oppose her as being a transgender wrestling in a women's division, I oppose her wrestling, period, as a wrestler, because she's terrible. Okay? And I know this past week it was an unfortunate accident with Britt Baker, as Nyla Rose's fat ass fell on her knee and she was thrown in the corner. And that was awful. And I'm not going to blame totally Nyla Rose, because she was thrown by the Japanese wrestler and Chris Statlander. So it was just a botched spot. The whole AEW women's division, in my opinion, is just is a glorified mess. And I really think that they need to either get rid of that division or really take a step back. And I just despise Nyla Rose and the AEW women's division right now. And I know that they're all trying their best to do what they can do, but I literally every time they come, the women's match comes on, I turn it. This week was no different. It was just a train wreck right before our eyes. So again, I wish they would just do something with that women's division. I would be happy if they just got rid of it. Quite honestly, hot button right there. Well, fans, that was a big schmoz this week. I hope you enjoyed the podcast as we talked some wrestling. We got AEW this weekend coming up. We got SmackDown tonight. We'll see what Raw holds following week. And then the follow-up to the pay-per-view from AEW the following Wednesday. So we got a lot to talk about next week. And I'm going to catch up on my Undertaker WWE Network. So hopefully we can talk about that.
Last ride.
Yep.
We'll talk the last ride.
Have a great Memorial Day weekend, and remember, honor your veterans.
Are we doing this? Damn it. No one told me we were doing this.
We say you're doing time. Now you stand on this last edge.